I turned 49 last month. Alzheimer's runs in my family. My grandmother had it, my aunt had it, my mom has it now. So when a neurophysiologist sits down with one of the biggest podcasts in the world and says that Alzheimer's starts building in your 30s, I paid attention. Louisa Nicola went on the Diary of a CEO with Steven Bartlett and laid out the case that Alzheimer's is not a disease of old age, it is a disease of midlife. And by the time you feel it, the damage has been building for over 30 years. I pulled the research she referenced. I read through them all. I'm going to walk you through what the data says, where Nicola's claims hold up, where she potentially overreaches, and what you can start doing this week. Then I'm going to rate her suggestions in a way that you can implement it into your life.
Dementia or Alzheimer's disease is a disease of midlife. And so it generally starts in our 30s. It starts in our 30s, but the first symptoms show up in our late 60s, 70s, and beyond.
That is Louisa Nicola. She is a neurophysiologist finishing her PhD at the University of Washington. She studies how the brain and nervous system drive physical performance. When she says that Alzheimer's starts in your 30s, she is talking about amyloid plaque buildup. The proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease begin accumulating decades before your symptoms appear. The first memory problems, the confusion, the personality changes, those show up in your late 60s and 70s, but the biology has been running in the background since midlife. 30 years, that is the window. Hi, my name is Michael Brooks. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, and my focus is brain health. I pull the research, I break it down, and I rate it so you know what is worth your time. If that sounds useful, please subscribe to the channel, and there's a link in the description to sign up for the newsletter where I go deeper on the studies every week. There is a number in this episode that every woman watching needs to hear. 70% of Alzheimer's patients are women. Not because women live longer, because of what happens to the brain during menopause. Nicola explains that when estrogen drops during perimenopause, the transition into menopause, the brain loses roughly 30% of its ability to use glucose for energy. And as we learned in previous episodes, Alzheimer's is energy deficiency happening within the brain. Glucose is your brain's primary fuel source. Losing a third of it changes how the brain operates. That drop is connected to sleep disruption, hot flashes, and brain fog, but it is also connected to the buildup of amyloid, the protein that is directly linked to Alzheimer's. Your brain has a cleaning system called the glymphatic system. It only runs during deep sleep cycles. When sleep breaks down during menopause, the cleaning breaks down with it, and the proteins start to accumulate. Everything is connected. We are holistic. It's all a chain.
Now, if we go through and we have a look at all of the people that currently have Alzheimer's disease, 95% of them could have been prevented because this is not a disease of genetics, it's a disease of lifestyle.
95% of it could have been prevented?
Correct.
Nicola made a claim I need to address directly. She said 95% of Alzheimer's cases could have been prevented. She called it a disease of lifestyle, not genetics. She said only about 3% of cases involve a true genetic mutation. That is a strong statement, and I owe you the full picture. The research supports that lifestyle factors drive risk. Exercise, sleep, blood pressure, diet. The science on prevention is very real, but 95% is Nicola's framing. That number does not come from a single study. The exact percentage is still being debated. I'm telling you what she said, and I am telling you where the data gets less precise. Both of those things matter because I want you to trust the information on this channel enough to share it with someone that you care about. Nicola's central argument is that resistance training is the most protective form of exercise for the brain. I pulled the research she is building on. This is the SMART trial, published in 2014. It took 100 adults with mild cognitive impairment and put half of them through high-intensity resistance training program, 2 to 3 times a week for 6 months. The group that lifted showed improved processing speed and slower gray matter decline. Then there is this one, Stevens and colleague, 2016. They followed 324 healthy twins over 10 years and measured leg power against cognitive decline. The twin with stronger legs had a larger brain volume and better preserved cognition. Same exact genetics, same upbringing. The difference was how much they used their legs. 2 different studies, 2 different populations, same direction. Resistance training protects the brain. Nicola called the deadlift the single best exercise for brain health. Her reasoning, it uses almost every muscle in your body. The more muscles you engage, the more your body releases molecules called myokines. They cross into the blood and trigger new neuron growth in the area responsible for memory. I go to the gym 4 days a week and I deadlift. I started because of what I read about leg strength and brain volume. That study changed my programming. It is about what is happening inside your skull when you load your skeleton and move heavy weight. If you are in your 40s and 50s and have a family history, you are inside the window Nicola is talking about. You have been inside it for years, just like me. I know that sounds heavy, and it is. But here's what I keep coming back to. The same 30 years the disease uses to build is the same 30 years you can use to fight back. Resistance training, deep sleep, blood pressure management. The research says these are the biggest levers available. I want my senior years to be meaningful, to be sharp enough to share what I've learned along the way. But I'm only going to be able to get there if I put in the work now. You just have to start, and the sooner, the better. And if you're watching a parent change, wondering about your own future, you're not alone in this. So let me rate the advice from this episode. Out of affordability, it gets a 4 out of 5. Resistance training does require access to a gym or equipment. A basic gym membership is going to cost you about $50 a month. Bodyweight squats and lunges are free, but Nicola is specifically recommending loaded weighted movements like the deadlift. I'm giving it a 4 because it is affordable for most people, but it's not completely free. Still a good review. Now for ease of implementation, I give it a 3 out of 5. If you already lift, adding deadlifts or squats to your routine is simple. But if you have never resistance trained, there is a learning curve. I would recommend working with a trainer for the first month to learn the movements safely. Starting is the hard part. Staying consistent is easier once you feel and see the difference. Lastly, evidence strength. We're going to give that a 4 out of 5. The SMART trial and the twin study are very solid research. The connection between resistance training and brain health is well supported. And I'm holding back 1 star because Nicola's 95% prevention claim goes slightly beyond what any single study has shown. The direction of the evidence is strong, but some of the specific numbers need more research behind them. The overall implementation score I'm giving it is 3.7 out of 5. Now that's lower than last week's exercise snack score. Resistance training takes more effort and more knowledge to start, but the evidence behind it is some of the strongest in brain health research. If you are only going to do one thing for your brain, the data says pick up something heavy and pick it up often. If you are looking at the 3 out of 5 for ease of implementation and thinking, I do not know where to start, that is what I do. I help people build a plan around the research and actually follow through. There is a link in the description for you to book a free call. This is scored 3.7 out of 5. If you like this breakdown, please subscribe to the channel. I rate health advice from the biggest voices in the space so you know what is worth your time. And there is a link in the description to sign up for the newsletter. That is where I go deeper on the studies and share what I'm doing with the data in my own life.